We've all heard about NASA's Artemis mission. Artemis has the goal to send the first woman and next man to the lunar surface by 2024, this time to stay and build a moon base. They're already testing their Space Launch System, popularly known as SLS, to send astronauts to the moon's orbit. But they also awarded SpaceX 2 major contracts, which include Falcon Heavy to launch the Lunar Gateway and Starship as the lunar lander. First, let's talk about the recent one, that is Starship, the lunar lander. Lunar lander helps astronauts land on the moon. This needs to be very lightweight because sending 1 kilogram of mass to the moon requires almost 200 kilograms of rocket to get there. On April 30th, 2020, NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine announced that 3 American companies have been selected to design and develop a next-generation human-rated lunar lander intended to take American astronauts back to the moon by 2024. And recently, they chose SpaceX for this lander. NASA was expected to pick 2 companies to receive contracts for the first moon landing mission since the Apollo program. The move to go with just SpaceX signals NASA's confidence that the company can build a version of Starship that is capable of landing on the moon. Selecting a single contractor also means that NASA can attempt to get back to the moon on budget that Congress has approved, as SpaceX's $2.9 billion bid was substantially less than the competing proposals. So why Starship? Well, as I said before in many of our previous videos, Starship is the most ambitious rocket ever, which is being tested in Boca Chica, Texas. The full rocket will consist of 2 pieces, a 230-foot tall booster called Super Heavy, and a 165-foot tall upper stage called Starship. But SpaceX's lunar lander version might require some changes in order to achieve its goal on the moon. Starting in December 2020, SpaceX has launched 5 prototypes of the Starship rocket on high-altitude flight test, varying from 10 to 15 kilometers. The recent one, named SN-15, performed the best of all in the belly flop maneuver and landed successfully. NASA said that its award requires SpaceX to perform an uncrewed demonstration of a lunar landing before shuttling people to the moon. To know more about Starship, click on that I button or check the description below. Now, let's look at Falcon Heavy, which will be used to launch the Lunar Gateway. Lunar Gateway is a planned small space station in lunar orbit, intended to serve as a solar-powered communication hub, science laboratory, short-term habitation module, and holding area for rovers and other robots. Gateway will be the first mini space station to both be human-rated and autonomously operating most of the time in its early years, as well as being the first deep space station pretty far away from low Earth orbit. This will be enabled by more sophisticated executive control software than any other prior space station, which will monitor and control all systems. On February 9th, 2020, NASA announced that it had awarded SpaceX a $331 million contract to launch the first 2 pieces of the Gateway lunar outpost in 2024 using a modified version of the Falcon Heavy rocket to hurl the massive core of Deep Space Station towards the moon. The Gateway's power and propulsion element, PPE, and habitation and logistics outpost, HALO, will launch a tandem in no earlier than May 2024 aboard the Falcon Heavy rocket pad 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The contract, awarded by NASA's Launch Service Program at Kennedy, includes a Falcon Heavy launch and other mission-related cost. But why Falcon Heavy? Well, that's because of the price and reliability. At around $330 million for a single launch for these 2 elements, it's too cheap considering SLS's single launch cost can be more than $1 billion. And also, this payload is around 11 metric tons, and SLS can transfer about 26 metric tons to lunar orbit. In other words, SLS is just too big and too expensive for this small payload. Also, SpaceX might be one of the most convincing of all in the rocket industry when it comes to reliability. I mean, think of all the things that they have done till date. So these are 2 factors that explain why SpaceX is the key to success of Artemis. Next up, for Discover Zen, let us discuss how would SpaceX make rocket fuel on Mars. If you like what you saw today, make sure to click that like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. Until next time.